All right. Now, we're going to start with an activity first. I don't expect you to know all the answers, okay? You're going to circle your answers with your crayon. I'll read the question to you, okay? You have a thumbs up and a thumbs down. Thumbs up is that you agree with what I read. Thumbs down is you disagree, okay? You don't think it's right. Okay? You got it? All right, we're going to go to the first question right here. It says, the pilgrims took a long journey. So on this side, circle whether you agree or you disagree. With your crayon or your pencil, it's up to you. Circle the thumbs up or the thumbs down. The pilgrims took a long journey. This is the first one. What do you think a journey means? A big trip. It's a big trip. So do you guys think the pilgrims took a long journey?
Yeah.
All right, circle your answer. Circle your answer. Nope, in this column. Good. In this column. Whichever one. Alex, right. All right, we're going to go to the next one. Circle on the other side, honey. We're going to wait for Madison. All right, I'm going to the next question. Remember, you're in the first column. The next question says, the pilgrims traveled on the Mayflower.
What's the Mayflower?
It's a boat. You'll hear about it in our story.
Okay. No. Wait, right here? Is it right here?
Mm-hmm. Whether you agree or you disagree.
I disagree. Oh, I get it.
It's your answer. You're not expected to know the right or the wrong answer. We'll go over them at the end, okay? Y'all ready for the next one? All right, the next one says, the Indians helped the pilgrims farm. The Indians helped the pilgrims farm. We'll go over it in a minute. Just circle whether you agree or you disagree. The Indians helped the pilgrims farm. These are people we're talking about. What's farming? Didn't you just go to a farm last Thursday?
Yes.
Isn't that whenever you plant crops?
Yeah, I think it's. Yeah. Is it right here?
Mm-hmm. It's the third one. All right. The last one is corn was a crop that the Indians showed the pilgrims. Corn was a crop that the Indians showed the pilgrims. Do you think the Indians showed the pilgrims corn? Circle whether you disagree or you agree. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to flip it upside down. We're going to flip it upside down. So that way you can't see it. You can't see it.
Over.
Flip it over. Sorry. Flip it over.
Good
Sorry.
job.
All right. Now we're going to come over here and we're going to read these statements. These are things that we need to be able to do after we're done, okay? So you're going to repeat after me. Say, I can recall 3 details from the story. Okay. I can draw the transportation used in the book. Good. I can answer questions about the pilgrims. Yes. So we've talked about these funny people called the pilgrims. What do you think a pilgrim is? Hold on. Think about it for a second. I'm gonna pull a card. Remember, I talked about the cards. Think about it. Who do you think the pilgrims were? Addison, who do you think the pilgrims were? Give me a guess. What do you think they did? What do you think they do? You want to call in a friend for help? Does anyone know? Raise my hand if you think you know. Harper. Oh, they went on a boat? Yes. Okay, so a pilgrim is a person who journeys to a place for religious reasons. Yes. So they take a trip because of their religion. Okay? So another word we're going to encounter in our story is harbor. Does anyone know what a harbor is? Think about it for a second. What do you think a harbor is? Think about it. Alex Ray, what do you think a harbor is? You think it has to do with water? No. All right. A harbor.
I think it's that.
Yeah, is a place on the coast where a vessel or a boat may find shelter. So if the ocean's really wavy and scary, they can go into a harbor and their boat won't get ruined. Okay. So we have a harbor. Another word we're gonna hear is a voyage. Can you say voyage? Voyage. It's a long journey involving travel by sea or in space. But in this case, it's going to be on the sea, so in the ocean. Okay? So, remember what we talked about? We just defined what a journey is. What is a journey? A long trip. It's a long trip. Yes, Harper. All right, sit down, Alex Ray. All right, another word in our story is going to be harvest. What do you think harvest has to deal with? Hold on, shh, think about it. Jeremiah, what do you think a harvest has to deal with? Picking plants, you're right. It's the process or the period of time to gather in crops. And crops are plants. All right, so we're going to be reading a book. It's called The Story of the Pilgrims. Yeah, the Pilgrims. You see a bow and arrow? Yeah, I do too. What is this called? What is this? The cover page. What is this called? The back cover, yes. What does the title tell us? About the story. Yeah, they do look the same on this book, don't they? They do look similar. Who's the author? What does the author do? He writes the words. Yeah, they're to help me, okay? So this book is by Catherine Ross. What does the illustrator do? The pictures. Good job. All right. So it's by Catherine Ross and it's illustrated by Carolyn Kroll. Okay. The Story of the Pilgrims. Pay attention, Harper. Up here. All right. The Story of the Pilgrims. Once upon a time, in the land of England, there lived a small group of people called the Pilgrims. The Pilgrims were unhappy because the King of England would not let them worship God in their own way. So you each have a partner next to you right now. So you're going to turn and talk to your shoulder partner about what is a pilgrim. We just talked about it. What is a pilgrim? Talk to your partner. Talk to your partner. All right. Okay, Madison, can you tell me what a pilgrim is? What did you and Alex Ray just talk about?
She didn't tell me nothing.
She didn't tell you nothing. Alex Ray, what did y'all talk about then? What's a pilgrim? Do they take a long journey?
No.
Yes, they do. All right. All right, up here. So the Pilgrims packed up their belongings and said a tearful goodbye to their homes and we are not talking. And they said a tearful goodbye to their homes and their friends in the world they knew. On a mild day in autumn, they set sail for a new world called America, which was across the wide ocean. Other families came along. Together, they hoped to find freedom and a better life. More than 100 people squeezed into a small wooden sailing ship called the Mayflower. 22 of the Pilgrims were children. Further, Alex, Ray, and Harper. No. Pay attention. We're not taking anything off. All right. Harper, put your pencils and your crayons down on the table. Hands in your lap. Thank you. Okay. So there were 22 children on the ship. For their journey, they brought with them only the simplest foods. Things like hard cheese, bread, dried beans, and salted meat. What's the name of the boat that they're on? The Mayflower. The Mayflower, yes. That's the name of the boat that they're on.
The Mayflower.
The Mayflower, correct. Day after day, the Pilgrims saw nothing but the endless ocean and sky. Now and then, the huge slippery body of a whale would break the surface of the water. Do you see the whale? On and on they sailed through calm days and stormy ones until, after 66 days at sea, they heard the words they had been dreaming of for oh so long. Land ho! How long were they on their journey for?
About 100 years.
No.
66 days.
66 days. Good listening. Nearer and nearer to the land they sailed until the water was so shallow they could go no farther. They dropped anchor in a peaceful bowl-shaped harbor rimmed with sparkling white sand. Dense woods rose up all around. There were no towns, no houses. There was no sign of any people at all. The Pilgrims rowed ashore to explore this wild land so full of mystery and promise. The men were armed with guns. They had heard that America was full of fierce animals and savage Indians. Fierce animals. So we had a vocabulary word on this page. Do you remember what vocabulary word we just heard? Was it harbor? Did we just hear harbor again?
Yes.
What's a harbor?
Some sort of shelter.
Like a shelter? Yes. A shelter for your boat. Yes. All right. After many days of exploring up and down the coast, they found a deep harbor near good farmland. Here they would make their home. They called it Plymouth. While some stood guard against Indians, the others began to build houses. Harper? The first was long and low and very plain. They called it the common house, for they would all share it. So that they all lived in the same place. They all lived in the same house for a little bit. As each day grew a little colder and a little darker, they worked quickly. Winter was coming. And a terrible winter it was. There were dark days of bleak and bitter cold, far colder than any they had known in England. Snow and sleet and high winds battered the common house, and the little ship anchored in the harbor. The Pilgrims huddled together for warmth, trying to survive on stale food from the long voyage. Many of them became sick and died. We just had another vocabulary word. Voyage. Voyage. What's a voyage? Think about it. Quietly, think about it. What's a voyage? Turn and talk to your partner. What's a voyage? I need to talk. Harper, can you tell me what a voyage is?
It is a kind of house with a
That's the common house. A voyage is the long journey they took on the ocean, remember? It's a big word, voyage. Remember, voyage is a long journey on the ocean.
Yeah.
By the time spring came, there were only 50 pilgrims alive, and they were mostly children. What would they do if the Indians attacked? Surely they would be too weak to fight back. Then one day, an Indian did come. Harper, put the crayon down. The pilgrims had never seen an Indian this close, and they were terrified. What does terrified mean?
Like
Scared. They were scared. But this Indian had come in peace. His name was Samoset. Yeah, it's a funny name, is it? Samoset.
Like the tiger? Like the cheetah?
Like the cheetah. A few days later, more Indians marched to their village, 60 of them, led by a warrior chief. What do you think a chief is?
Like you trying to get apples off.
A chief? A chief is a leader.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah,
I'm a
leader.
leader.
Yeah.
I was the leader.
You be a leader.
I was in the leader when I was in
Mm-hmm. All right.
the
The pilgrims and the Indians made a treaty promising not only to do each other no harm, but also to help each other. An Indian named Squanto turned out to be a special friend. He taught the pilgrims many things. Turn your listening ears on, we're going to talk about this. Where to find the best fish and how to stamp eels out of the mud at low tide. How to find their way safely through the dark forest, and where to find nuts and berries and wild herbs. Like wild plants, that's what a herb is. So now you're going to turn and talk to your partner. What's 2 things that the Indians did for the pilgrims whenever they met? Caleb, what's one thing that they did to help them? You remember? Look over here in the picture. The picture can help. What's this? Is that a fish? They helped them find fish. They taught them how to fish.
And the lady was
What is she doing up here? What did they show them?
Still did the apples.
They showed them where the berries and stuff were for food, right?
Yes, the food that they could eat.
Yeah. All right, girls. Harper. And Squanto taught the pilgrims how to plant a wonderful new food. It was called corn. In each seed mound, they buried a small fish to help the corn grow. They buried fish to help corn grow. All that first summer in the New World, the pilgrims fished and hunted and tended their crops. They built more houses to live in sheds in which they could store their supplies. Do any of you have sheds at home?
My dad does.
Your dad has a shed?
Not my mom. My grandpa has one.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. The children worked and explored and played with their few simple toys. So they only had a few toys back then. They didn't have many toys.
I have my brothers. They don't my baby brothers do Mikey 7 and so 6. Like my brother, like Mikey, we have a lot of tools in our baby. We have a bean bag. Yeah. Like for this is my baby brother. He thought like a little red, little cloth, but I don't know what it is.
You can tell me about later, okay? We'll talk about your toys and stuff. All right, pay attention. Eyes up here. When autumn came, the pilgrims rejoiced over their harvest. Bright ears of corn and fat pumpkins, peas, beans, delicious squash and green herbs. They felt so happy about their good fortune that they wanted to celebrate. They knew they could never have survived without the Indians. So the Pilgrims invited the Indians to join them in a feast. 90 Indians came. For 3 days and 3 nights, the Pilgrims and the Indians ate and drank and danced and played games together. To remember the time so long ago, a time of brave Pilgrims and life-saving Indians, we continue to celebrate this feast. So how long did they celebrate for?
3 days and 3 nights.
They did, 3 days and 3 nights, right? All right. We call this celebration Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving relates to the Pilgrims, right? It is the end. So we're gonna quietly think with our brains. Can anyone tell me one thing they learned from the story? Quietly think, quietly think. Addison, what's one thing you learned from the story? Yeah, it could be something they did. They went on a big trip. A journey, yes, they did.
On some sort of boat.
On the boat. Do you remember what the name of the boat was?
It was the
Mayflower.
Mayflower.
Yes. All right. I'm going to call on one more person to give me a fact that they've learned. Jeremiah.
They found an island.
They found an island. Was it an island?
It was Tasteless. It's a Tasteless.
Do you remember what the name of the island was?
It was America.
It was America. Where do we live?
We live in the wilderness.
You do live in Alabama, but what is our country called? Do you know?
It's called the Whoa.
The United States of America.
Mom,
So did the Pilgrims find America?
I don't live in America. Yes.
Yes, they did. All right. So that activity we did at the beginning, we're gonna. Mhm. You live in a country. It's called the United States of America. The Pilgrims came here, and that's how they met the Indians. All right, we're gonna flip this sheet back over. All right, we're gonna listen, okay? I'm gonna read the questions again. You're on the other column now, the column that's not circled.
Sorry to interrupt, guys. I just need to show the painters real quick. So we got everything. We'll get everything. That right there, we'll have that book. And of course the chairs and everything, but we got the main stuff. So other than that, yes sir. We have you try to paint one or the whole just this is it right here. This is it right here. This is it right here. This is what I was doing.
All right, eyes on me. All right, pay attention. We're gonna read the first question. You're gonna put your answer down now that we've read the book, okay? So the first one is, the Pilgrims took a long journey. Remember, you're putting if you agree or if you disagree in that column. Yes, ma'am? So the Pilgrims took a long journey. Do you agree or disagree? All right. Give me a thumbs up once you're ready. Thumbs up once you're ready. I'm waiting for Harper's thumbs up. All right.
And that is
Okay. All right. The next question is, the Pilgrims traveled on the Mayflower. The Pilgrims traveled on the Mayflower. Think about it. We just read the story. Did you learn if they traveled on a Mayflower?
No.
The boat, the Mayflower? You're answering the next question, Alex. Or do you think it's right or wrong?
I think mine is wrong. I think mine's wrong.
All right. Thumbs up whenever you're ready. Thumbs up when you're ready. All right, the next question. The Indians helped the Pilgrims to farm. the Indians helped the Pilgrims to farm. Do you agree or do you disagree? Thumbs up when you're ready. On your chest. In the sky. Right here. Thumbs up when you're ready. We're not talking. You got a thumbs up if we're ready to move on? Alrighty, we're gonna go to the next one. The corn was a crop that Indians showed the Pilgrims. Corn was a crop that the Indians showed the Pilgrims. Alright, write your names at the top. Yep, with your pencils. Write your name at the top. You're supposed to circle on this side. So circle all your answers you have on this side.
Right here?
That's fine.
That's supposed to be well with this. The extras, that is going to be one.
Yeah, you can erase them.
That's my waffle thing.
Oh, no, just leave them. They're fine. Just leave them. Alright, whenever you're done, put them in a stack right here. Put them in a stack. Once you're done, it doesn't matter who's first, it's just a stack. Alright, listening ears on. Alright, we have another activity.
Yes.
I'm gonna pass it out. But don't do anything until I tell you what to do. Go ahead and write your name at the top with your pencil. Don't worry about them. No. Listen to what I'm going to tell you. Go ahead and write your name at the top. Write your name at the top.
Why do we have to write our name so much?
Because I have to know whose it is.
Who that is?
All right. Listen to my directions. We're going to draw the transportation.
What is transportation?
How the Pilgrims traveled on their voyage across to America.
Like draw a boat?
Mm-hmm.
No. I don't know.
Is that what they traveled on?
No. Yes.
They traveled on a boat across the ocean?
Yes.
All right, so then you're going to be drawing a boat.
I don't know how to draw a boat. I do it. It's the,
Try your best.
It's look up there. Do this. Draw a straight line.
You're going to draw a boat and color it for me. I want a pretty picture.
Do I do line? My outline.
You can do it with your crayons.
It's an outline.
Do an outline with your pencil, and then you can color it with your crayons.
Then I want line the dig wheel. How do we write water?
Are you drawing the boat?
I'm drawing a steel wheel. We have to do the whole I don't know how to draw a boat. Look at my boat. So nasty. Boats are nasty.
Do your best, Alex, right?
Wait, what was the boat called?
You tell me. What was the boat in the story called?
Is that how you Sunflower.
A Mayflower. Good job, Jeremiah. I heard that. A Mayflower.
Let's say the same Mayflower.
Do you remember how long the trip on the boat was?
66 days.
66 days. Good listening.
I don't remember.
You can color it with your crayons.
Yes. Look at my teddy bear.
You're done. You can color it with other colors, silly goose.
Goose? Goosey? What's Goosey?
Harper, is that a boat?
Huh?
Is that a boat?
What's that my boat? That ain't no dang boat.
Hey. No, sir. We're nice to everyone. coloring quadrant. Do you remember what kind of vegetables they harvested?
They had berries.
They did have berries. They had corn. What else did they have? Do you remember what I said they harvested?
Like some sort of berry.
They did have berries, yes.
They had
They had fish. Sit down, Harper.
I just said berries. I already heard that.
Did they have pumpkins?
No.
They had pumpkins?
Yeah, I said yes. I said no.
Do you think a few weeks ago you guys had a yummy snack in class? Do you think they made pumpkin pie?
Yeah.
You think they did?
How can I get whipped cream?
They didn't have whipped cream, I don't think. They could still
What they
bake.
eat with their, what did you say? How did they bake? Without whipped cream?
How would they bake it with all the ingredients? I was out with the toy. Oh god, I scooped the thing. I just don't know that.
Fire.
Damn cow. What do we do?
No, I don't think there were cows at that
A
time.
cow's another.
They had deer and
They had,
turkey.
remember they said there were fierce
Squirrels.
animals.
I think you want a boat. Actually, not have like dinosaurs. I don't have to make my boat. What?
No, the Indians,
Yeah, the dinosaurs were way before the Indians.
but all the animals have been here
Mm-hmm.
from the beginning.
Yep.
One day we went to watch a movie. But we keep on. I know what every dinosaur movie is called. Dinosaur. It's called Jurassic World. I said that when it's on dinosaur, our spell
We have about maybe 1 more minute to color, 1 or 2 more minutes.
I have to make my fight out. I need drama.
You're gonna draw you?
Well, what that is?
I see that. Is that a boat?
This is a boat and this is a water. Make an outline of it. Like dynamite. This is the side. Like glass and I thought it was a dust.
All right, a few more minutes. I see.
Okay, here's mine. Look at mine. Okay, I need a little bit of sand.
Oh, that looks so good.
This is me.
That's
That ain't
you?
no sand.
What do you think?
All right, guys, while you're finishing coloring, we're gonna come back up here. Look at me. While we're finishing, we're gonna review these statements. You're gonna tell me if you think that you did any of these.
I feel
So,
like my mom.
repeat after me, okay? I can
I
recall 3 details
can. 3 details
from the story.
for the story.
I can
I can
draw the transportation
draw the transportation
used in the book.
used in the book.
I can
I can
answer questions
answer questions
about the pilgrims.
about the pilgrims.
Do you guys think you learned anything? Do you remember anything about the pilgrims? Caleb?
You can pull them.
You can what?
Pull them.
You can
You
pull
can
them.
pull them?
A pilgrim?
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
It means you.
Harper, sit down. What do you mean? Oh, they pulled the berries from the bush. Yeah, they did learn how to pull the berries from the bush. Jeremiah?
They traveled on a boat.
They did travel on a boat. Do you remember the name of the boat?
It was not a sunflower.
That's right, it was not a sunflower.
It was not a sunflower. It was a Mayflower. Yes. Who helped the pilgrims?
The wedding.
The
Indians.
The Indians did.
Where's the Indians at? Well, actually, I want my flag to be
Alrighty. We're gonna wrap up our coloring. You can take your coloring sheet with you home.
Okay. I have my both pencils like.
And if I were
Put that mine.
to teach you tomorrow, we would be learning about the Indians that helped them. We talk about Squanto and Samoset that helped them. Okay?
Harper.
All right, Harper, put your crayons up.
That sounded fun. Oh my god. Harper, what did you do? I fixed it.
Right.
I didn't want to vote.
Thank you.
Nice job, boys and girls.
Thank you.
What's the name of that boat again?
No, it is vote.